All right. Welcome everyone to the Reiki Skills Lodge. Happy full moon. Um, we are talking about doing Reiki healing for groups. So you don't need to be leading groups or anything yourself. This is stuff that you can bear in mind for the future if you're going to be running Reiki shares, but also for things like demonstrations and stuff. A lot of people had quite a few students finish their Reiki 2 in the last few months and start going on getting ready to work professionally. And one of the ways that they quite often start to gather new clients and let people know what they're doing is to give talks. I used to do things like this at local community centres and yoga studios and therapy centres and things like that. Or in members of, if you're a member of like a women's circle or a healing circle or a meditation group, it's nice to talk about what Reiki is and let people know what you're doing, but it can be really nice to demonstrate that in some way without having to go around doing lots of hands-on healing or offer lots of free sessions or whatever. So it's just some ideas for how you might bring that in as well. We're going to be looking at ways that we can work as a group to heal one person or another group of people. And we're going to be looking at ways that we can work as individuals to do healing for a group of people at one time. And there's lots of different ways to do that in Reiki. We are also going to do a little practical exercise in the first half where we do some just some emanating Reiki for each other, just all of us actively doing some work as a group to receive and to give Reiki healing as a group. And then when we finish off the last part of the session, probably about sort of 8ish, maybe a bit before, I'll do a Reiki drum healing for all of you guys to absorb, and you can go back and absorb it a second time or third time if you like on the recording. There's no time limit on this stuff. I know a number of you are Reiki drummers and Reiki sound healers already. So I'll talk a little bit about how we can combine this stuff with other work that we're doing so that we can bring Reiki into the group work that we're doing together. So the most common way that people are doing work for groups of people is through their distance healing work. And I think, although this is open for Reiki 1 and above, and I won't be talking about using any symbols or anything, but mostly people start doing that after they've done their Reiki 2. And they've started practicing distance healing on individual people, but we always seem to talk about doing it for groups. Lots of people keep distance healing lists. One of the easiest ways to do that is to have something where you write those things down and you contain all of those names and what they might be asking for healing for, if you know that information. Some people keep a Reiki healing book and they will write, maybe they'll separate it by months. They'll have timelines. They won't just constantly usually have those people. You sort of update your list from time to time. Would write a list of the name of the person, maybe where they are in the world, what they are asking for healing for. And if you are Reiki 2 or above, you can draw your distance healing symbols on there or whatever, but you don't need to do that. You can just set your intention, read through, I would say, rather than just have the names in front of you, take the time to read them with intention that you are going to be sending this healing for these people for the highest good, and read any requests or prayers that they might have given you that you want to say before you send the healing. And then what I normally do is either imagine that all those people create like a ball of light, like the Reiki bubble. We love the Reiki bubble, and create the Reiki bubble and sort of place those people in as I'm reading their names, to sort of place them into that bubble, and then just get into your connection state, connecting with Reiki, and just channel that healing energy into the Reiki bubble, and intend that everybody that you've placed inside there is going to receive that for their highest good. I always say in perfect timing. So I don't necessarily want them to pick it up in that moment. It might be better for them to receive it when they're not driving on the M25 or whatever they might be doing at that time. And you can do that just by dropping the names in, as it were. I know it's a bit abstract. You don't have to know what the person looks like. You don't have to hold a really clear image of that person to drop them in and give them that healing. Some people do prefer to use pictures, and some people prefer to have a box. I always prefer to have a Reiki box, a distance healing box, rather than a book where I could drop people's names into it, and you could put pictures in there if you prefer that, and any words that are relevant to what they've asked for healing for at that time. It also feels a lot easier for me to sort of update the distance healing list when I have my healing box. It allows you to work on a particular group of people. But that's all very you just working on your own. I quite like, in fact, I much prefer working with a group when everybody's kind of involved, or at the very least they're aware of what's going on, in terms of the timing that you're going to be working. If you've got a group of people that you've studied with, or that you go to meditation groups with, or that you've met on your Reiki courses or on Reiki shares, or just, you know, friends who are Reiki people, to set aside a particular time and to just either take it in turns to say, okay, this week we're going to be doing the healing for Lucy, and then next week we'll do the healing for Emily, you know, just like take it in turns to put you guys in, or to just intend that you're all raising healing for the whole of the group. And you can either set up your timings so that everybody's doing the work at the same time. It is more powerful if you do it that way, because there's a shared intention and a shared time, or a shared vision, a shared idea of what you're filling up. So when I do my Reiki re-empowerment at the beginning of each year, there's a group of people who sign up, and we do 21 days of work together, and we create a Reiki bubble that we're all adding to towards the end of that time. And then on the final day, everybody can say, okay, now I'm ready to open the bubble and allow the healing. But we've all put that healing in. We've all been, you know, adding to it and storing it up. So some kind of anchor that you're all holding together, so that there's a shared point of focus rather than just sending healing as and when. It is more powerful, and people seem more connected and have deeper results when we work that way. Working with groups that are physically in front of us is more interesting again, usually. Reiki shares is the normal way to do it, and there were a lot of people when they signed up saying that they're thinking about starting Reiki shares, or they're getting ready to start Reiki shares, or even that they're running them already but are just like looking for more ideas. And Reiki shares are really powerful opportunities for groups of Reiki people to come together, where everyone can get a healing. They can be open to people who don't do Reiki, but I don't allow that. I only have Reiki attuned people in, so that everybody there gets to contribute healing, and then everybody, it's a service for me. I think it's a service for our community as Reiki healers. I do it just with one treatment bed, and have everybody around the treatment table treating one person at a time. So the whole group is treating one person at a time. That's how I like to do it. Lots of people do it with multiple treatment beds and working in small groups. But I like the massive, intense blast of a bunch of people working on the body at once. There's less Reiki community in Glastonbury than you'd think there is. So my shares here are much smaller than the ones that were in London back in the day. Leanne, I'm sure you have come to those shares before, and they used to be really quite rammed, and it was a little bit, we had to get a bit creative with how we could all actually work around one person. We used to have someone who liked to lay underneath the table and just like radiate the energy upwards this way. And you can have it at a Reiki share. This would become unwieldy, because if you had 40 people at a Reiki share, you wouldn't have time to fit everyone in, even if you're only doing little 5-minute healings. But if there's someone who's really in need, in like a retreat setting when you've got more time perhaps, or if you just have one person that you know is really in need and you can all gather around and be present for that person, a community healing for one person, you can just do such simple, it's called Shu Reiki, SHUCHU Reiki. And it's just lots of hands on the body. It's just everybody hands-on healing one person. You can do it if there's a large group of you working for one person, where everybody places their hands as much as they can. And then once the space gets too full, the next row of people stand behind the people who have their hands on the person. And they, if you're in the second row, you put your hands on the shoulders of the person in front of you. And as you're channeling Reiki, you're sending it through their arms, through their hands into the person. And you can have a third row as well. As I said, I've done this with about 40 people. For someone who was very sick, and it was incredibly powerful. It was really lovely. So if you have someone that is part of your group of spiritual kin who really powerful way of working. But there's other things you can do in a Reiki share so that everybody is getting healing. It doesn't have to necessarily be hands-on. And a really nice one to do with the group is for everybody to stand in a circle or sit in a circle with one hand raised up and the other hand down. I've done the experiment, sending it both ways. It doesn't seem to make any difference. Some schools of thought say you should be receiving into the left hand and sending with the right, but I haven't found that to be true. It's called Reiki Mawashi. And basically you have your hand in receiving mode, and the person next to you places their hand on top of your hand. Your hand is on top of the person's hand next to you, and you form a circle where you're receiving from one side and giving from the other. And then what you do is you can either all start at once or begin with one person. They're both interesting to do, so they feel slightly different. And have one person start the healing is how I like to do it, and have them send the healing out through, say, their right hand into the left hand of the person next to them. That person is receiving healing and they connect to Reiki and they send healing on the next way. And it goes round and round until the whole circle is connected and everybody's connected into source and everybody's sending the Reiki around. And that seems to build and gain, it sort of gains speed, actually, weirdly. If any of you have done this one before, it does kind of get a bit faster, but it gets stronger, it gains in strength, and everybody gets to receive a lot of healing. And it's very powerful to do. So that's one of the things that I sometimes do with my groups when I run a Reiki share. One of the other things you can do is, if you're running the group yourself, is to radiate out that healing to everybody who's there. So I have people at my last Reiki share, and I'm going to do this one again multiple times because it's something I used to do at other events, is to have everybody, just after all the treatments have been done, everybody gets their blankets and their yoga mats and you know, nestles in for nap time on the ground, and I sit with my drum and I do Reiki drumming and just radiate that healing energy to all of the people. And for those of you who are Reiki drummers or Reiki sound healers, you can send the energy that way, and it's a nice way for people to feel completely enveloped by it. But you don't need the drum. You can do chanting if you're Reiki 2 or Reiki masters and you've done any Kata Dharma work. You can chant the Kata Dharma while you do it, or you can just have healing music on in the background. connect in with Reiki and just radiate that energy out through your hands, and just intend that it is going into everybody who is lying or sitting in front of you, and filling the space that you're in, so that everyone's receiving. Again, we're staying with that I'm working for the highest good energy, and just intending that everybody gets what they need from that. It's a really strong experience, because you are channeling more energy than you would do if you were doing a treatment on one person. For those Reiki masters among you who do group empowerments, sending out distant empowerments, it's the same thing. You can radiate that energy out, and you can kind of visualize it going in, but you're calling through enough energy that everybody there is having a powerful experience. When we do the Shuchu Reiki, 5 minutes of 10 people putting their hands on you and doing Reiki healing, they're just channeling the normal amount of energy, but for you it's like you've had a full 50-minute session. It's the equivalent of that. What we don't want to do when we are sharing Reiki with a number of people and we are the only person doing that channeling, we don't want the inverse to be true, that they're only getting, that you're only pulling through the amount you would if you were treating one person, and they're getting sort of mini treatments. The intention is very much that, without throwing yourself off balance, and I would say practice this with small groups of people first before you do it for a big group, that you're sending the energy that will be the amount of healing that that person needs, as if they were there in front of you by themselves. So you want to be bringing through more energy than normal. So make sure you do your grounding practices after. Make sure that you don't just start radiating the energy out. Take the time to say your healing prayers, connecting with source, call in any guides or spirits, or the spirit of Makawa-Zui, if that's how you like to do it, and really ask for assistance from source and from spirit when you do it, because you want people to get as much healing as possible in that, even though you're just one person and they're like 8 people or whatever who are lying there in front of you. I would say that's also really true when you're working with people who you're just maybe giving a little demonstration, which is something that I think a lot of people would use this for, to try and get things kick-started, start getting new clients, start up a share and start getting some interest in it, to kind of talk about the idea, and then you can radiate that energy out to all those people, call in sort of spiritual assistance, as it were. It's not necessarily traditional Reiki to work this way, but you want to be able to channel enough that the people are going to get what they need, and also so that they'll trust that what you're doing is strong and they're going to want to come and work with you. If you're doing it on something like this, where we're working remotely and we're on Zoom, if I'm doing it for a contained group, it's quite easy because I know exactly who's in the group, and normally I can see all your beautiful faces, like I can see many of your beautiful faces today. But if you're doing something that people who aren't going to be there are also going to come to later, you must set that up in your intention. I know this sounds like I'm saying really obvious stuff, but actually you really want to make sure that you're containing this space strongly enough. So when I'm doing the healing for you guys, there is a part of my sort of setup which is obviously holding this space. So you need to make sure that you're doing that if you're doing something remotely, that you are setting up the space to hold that healing, just as you would do if you were doing a healing for a single person. You wouldn't not prepare your healing room for them. You wouldn't not do your smudging and set up the space right and all that kind of thing. You need to have a setup process for when you're doing your distance work for a number of people. And for me, mine has to have an extra layer in, because there are people who are not here today who are going to be receiving this healing that I'm going to do later, and indeed the healing that we're going to do. And there are people who have not yet signed up who maybe in 5 years' time are going to watch this video. And those people need to be able to receive that too. So if it's something that you're going to be sharing with people after the fact, put that in your healing intention. Reiki is so magical. It does enable us to operate without having everything completely set up, knowing who everybody is in advance. It's got that ability. If you've ever done healing on your past self or your future self, you know we can do this work without worrying too much about linear time, but you must incorporate it into your setup intention. So when I'm doing the healing for you guys later, I will be setting it up so that you guys who are here on the call will receive it, that everybody who is signed up to receive it later and all future students who watch this will be able to receive it, which means it's a huge amount of energy that's going to flow through in that time to kind of be there in that space and be a safe, contained space for everybody. And that's what you need to do if you're working remotely on a group of people. If you can't see everybody's beautiful faces or anybody's beautiful faces that you're working on remotely, I quite often use a light body, you know, just like a form of a person. This is what I use when I set up my distance raise you empowerments as well. I set up a light body and then I call, you can either call them in, there's two ways to do it. You can call in the people who are going to be receiving the healing into the light body so that their essence is attached to it in some way. Or you can work on the light body and send it out from there, have the intention that people can plug into it later or it can send out to them. And that's the way I usually do it for people who, when I do my raise you empowerments, I don't know how many people pick them up and I don't know, they're not all my students. They might just be people who watched an Instagram post. So my wording allows for them to connect into the light body that I'm working on and for the energy to be physically present for them there at the time when they connect in. And if you're asking them to connect at a certain time, put that into your setup wording. All of this stuff strengthens the container of what you're doing. We can work as a group, radiating to each other, again distantly by, as I said, using the Reiki bubble. But when we're in a share or when we're on a Zoom call, you can ask people to radiate out to the whole group so that everyone can receive it, and you can send the energy, like I said, like in that Reiki Mawashi way, where we're sending the energy as a current through the hands, or we can all just radiate the energy into the room. I don't know if there's a name for that. Probably depends on how you're channeling it in. If you, there's a part of the Hatsure meditation called Joshin Kokyu Ho, which is healing with the breath, basically channeling Reiki through breathing. So we can draw energy into the tanden and radiate it out through the whole body into the space. So you can talk everybody through that process so that they can draw the energy and radiate it out into the room. And then everybody will be able to feel that in the room. But I always say at the end of that, whether I'm having people just radiate it in, or if I'm having people chanting to help raise the energy and channel the Reiki, or if I'm having people doing Reiki drumming, if I've got a group of Reiki drummers, I will raise it into the room, and then I will always take a time at the end when no one is channeling and ask everyone to take that time to absorb it. And you can do that at any Reiki share. It can just be quietly channeling Reiki, or you can be chanting with the Kotodama, or just the R sound, which is the heart sound, and just intend that you're flowing Reiki into the space. Or you can do it with the drumming. However you do it, at the end of that practice in your Reiki share or in your Reiki collective that you're all experimenting with together, take the time when no one is channeling anymore to just be in receiving mode, because you can absorb healing while giving healing, but it's actually better to take the moment to just be there for yourself. And so allow everybody to then absorb the healing. Something to be mindful of when everybody's been channeling a lot of healing and then receiving a lot of healing is that for some people it can be a little bit ungrounding, because people might feel lightheaded or not quite in their bodies. So I always talk people back down in a meditation, back down into their breath, back down into their body. And then what I do to help people if there's too much energy in the room, because everybody's much more powerful than they think they are. And there's always like, oh my God, I can see the Reiki in the room with my physical eyeballs. People are like, wow, that's really strong. Is to then get people to place their hands flat down on the ground, and maybe even lean forward and put their forehead on the ground I ask people, allow any excess energy that you don't need to drain away into the earth itself. So that just allows people to get a little bit more back in their body, and then you can seal up their energy fields, rattle them, smudge them, or just talk them through a meditation to do it. A nice way to do it, which I didn't learn from a Reiki person, I learned this from my shamanic teacher up in Scotland, is sometimes on his healing circles that he does online for us, when he feels that the people there are in need of healing, and he does it in a way where people are, this is for the people who are physically present on the call, but it's something you might bear in mind for a future remote thing that you might want to set up with your friends or healing groups, is to get everybody to focus on, to get everyone to turn their cameras on and get everybody to focus on, nominate one of you, whoever's running it, to be the person who is sort of directing the time, and just say, okay, now we're going to choose one person from the call. Everybody focus on Sarah, and we're all going to just send healing energy to Sarah. And then I'm not picking on you, Sarah, or healing you in this moment. We're sending energy to that one person, and then the person who's receiving on the Zoom call can just rest into that and receive from the whole group. And then whoever is leading that circle can then say, okay, and then allow yourself to come back to your center, and then everybody turn around and look at the next person, and you as the group leader would say, okay, now we're going to work on Jenny. Everybody focus your attention on Jenny, and then set the intention, and everybody's just really focusing on that person. So if you can't get to Reiki shares and you have a group of people that you know that do Reiki, you can take your turns to do group healing on each other online, and you can really feel it. It's really, really powerful. So that's another way that you can do it. I did ask people before, when they signed up, if they had any questions around it, and mostly people didn't. They were just looking for ideas, things, extra bits to add into the sessions maybe. I did get one relevant question. Lots of people said they're nervous about Reiki shares, which is interesting, nervous about running them, and nervous about attending them, which I think I forget about that. So that's an interesting thing, and I'll speak to that in a second. And the one question that I got, and it really made me laugh, and she's not here tonight. She told me that she wasn't going to be here, so I will not name her. But you know who you are on the recording, said, I have a question, which is, if you are starting a Reiki share, for example, or some kind of open healing circle that people can come to and receive healing, how do you stop weirdos from coming? And I was like, my first answer to that is, we are the weirdos, mister. So that's for starters. But it is actually, much that made me laugh, it's a really good question. And I think it's part of the reason why people are nervous about setting up healing circles. And it's a shame, because we need more of these healing circles. And there are so many of us that are, maybe there isn't one locally that we can do. and you want to set one up or you want to find one, there are people looking to come to these events. We need more of us to be running them. And you don't need to be a Reiki master to be running them. You can open a little, as long as you're not misrepresenting yourself or giving empowerments, you can run this from Reiki 1 or Reiki 2. The thing that I understand the weirdo thing. It is possible for one person to come into the group and disrupt and that's true. It is possible for someone to come in and disrupt the energy of the group. Not necessarily by being a weirdo, but having, and mostly it won't be somebody who is going to be doing that deliberately. I think people are coming to those circles because they want to receive healing, and so maybe it speaks to a need that they have where they maybe don't have people to talk to about this stuff, and so they sort of dominate the conversation maybe. Other problems that I've had is where people are very psychic and they want to be sort of reading all the time and like sharing stuff with people that is perhaps it's going to be unnerving for the other person, and those sorts of things. So there's a couple of ways to approach it, and I do want to speak to them. One of them is in your setup, remember that we are working from our intention. And so if you're setting up a Reiki share or thinking of setting up a Reiki share, or if you're looking for a Reiki share, you put that sort of prayer out, not meaning to be sort of lightweight affirmation about it, but put the call out for who you want to come to that space, who you want to meet in that space. If you're running the circle, you want to have a clear intention about what it is that you want to do there. Sharing a little bit about who you are when you're giving, while you're setting up. I've found I've got a lot more people and the work has been a bit deeper in a lot of ways, rather than just like my few little regulars, since I changed my Reiki shares to Reiki and Reiki drum shares, because actually that's what I do with my clients. It's much more in line with the way that I practice Reiki. So if there's Reiki and sound bath, or Reiki and meditation, or Reiki and yoga, things that you already do, something that allows your energy to show more when you're setting up your groups, that will attract the right people a bit more quickly usually. But also, when you set up the space for it and set the intention for it, again, remember that this is spiritual work. We are supported by spirit, so we can call in people to help us, whether it's the spirit of the Zui or your healing spirit or your guardian angel or your power animal. However you work, this is personal stuff, but ask for protection and ask for guidance around what it is that you say and where and how you share it, and ask for protection to be put around it. Send Reiki to the idea of your own share or healing circle when you set it up. That gives you so much extra protection. And of course, in the shares itself, if you're opening things, obviously, the easiest way is to start with people that you know, and then if there are weirdos coming, they're your weirdos, so it's fine. But if you are having an open session, like I do, I just allow walk-ins if they're Reiki people. And so the way that I manage that is to set very clear boundaries and expectations around the work that we're going to do. And it's partly so that people who might be nervous about coming in feel safe. So always take the time to ask each person, are you happy to have hands-on? Even little things like that. Some people feel really nervous that they're walking into a room full of strangers and these 10 strangers are going to have their hands on them in a minute. So I always make sure that everyone feels safe and they know, are you comfortable with hands-on? And I always tell people, if you change your mind during it, if it feels a bit intense, you can tell us to stop. I do drumming in mine as well, which can feel a bit intense. So I always say to people, are you happy for there to be drumming? It's completely optional. If it feels too strong, just say softer or ask us to stop if you want, please make sure that everybody feels really safe and really able to move if they want to, or release if they want to. Set expectations and let people know that they've got agency, because even if it's a small group and you're not teaching people, and it's, you know, it's not one person in particular who's in charge, you're not setting up some big, you know, school of healing. If you are running that session, there is a slight power disparity there, and it is your job to make the other people feel safe. And you can do that just by setting expectations and allowing them to ask questions, and so that they know that. And in terms of like the sharing of things, a lot of this work, people will pick things up when they're working on people. And obviously, if you were working on a client, you have a lot of time to explore that and decide what should be shared and what shouldn't be shared. And at Reiki Shares, people can get a bit excited. So my rule is, if you have picked up on something or you have a message for that person, ask their permission before you share it. And I always make sure that everybody knows you don't have to say yes when they say, do you want, you know, don't feel obliged to hear their spiritual message. You can say no, because some people don't want to receive those things. And so setting up those boundaries, if there are weirdos there or anybody who wants to sort of disrupt or perhaps work in a way that's out of alignment with what you want to do, if you hold those boundaries, then it will allow those people to sort of see, oh, actually, this is perhaps not the place for me. And then it sort of filters itself out, really. But yeah, at the end of it all, make sure you cleanse the space, and whatever group healing you've done, whether it's hands-on or whether you're leading a group meditation for people to receive healing, which is another way that you can do it, where you have people visualize Reiki energy coming into their heart or coming into their crown or coming into their body, and you're radiating that Reiki energy while leading the meditation. Whatever you do, make sure you shut everything down afterwards, and then you're strong at the end, everybody else is strong at the end, and leave a bit of space for people to ask questions and feel safe with you after as well. So those are all my top tips for working with people, weirdos or otherwise, in groups and remotely or in person. I would like us to do a little bit of group radiating of Reiki energy. I know a couple of you need to drop off by 8. So I'm going to drop that in first. And then if there's any questions that you have around the discussion, you can drop them into the chat box. And for those of you that will still be here after 8 o'clock, when I do the drum healing, we can discuss any questions that people have. But we're going to radiate group Reiki energy, my friends. I'm going to talk us through it. We're going to connect in with the Reiki source, and we are going to radiate energy into the circle that I'm going to ask you to visualize, that's holding all of us. And I'll use my wording as an example of how you might think about setting up your remote groups if you want to do shares or distance healing groups remotely. So this healing is going to be received by all of you who are in here. You'll be all contributing to it as well. And it's also going to be received by anybody who rewatches later and anybody who joins the recording after this fact, who may not have even been aware that we were doing this in this moment. So it's quite simple and straightforward. Is everyone happy? Any questions before we start doing the group thing? You all look happy to me. Excellent. So make yourself comfortable, my dears. Visualize yourself closing your eyes, visualizing yourself held within a glowing circle of light. It's a large circle of light, a sphere really. We're completely surrounded by it. And within this circle, sitting together, are all of the people who are on this call. So we can visualize all of us. There are 9 of us here on this call in this moment in real linear time. And you'll notice that this light sphere that's holding us all is very strong. This is part of the protection that holds the Reiki Skills Lodge as a whole. And now we as a group, with our intention for the highest healing good, are inviting in those people who want to join this circle in the recording in the future. Making space for them, setting our intention. All of those people that will join this workshop in the future. Those that are planning to listen tomorrow, those who won't discover it for some time. Inside our circle, linear time does not matter. For the highest healing good, all of those people are welcome in our circle. And now we, as healing practitioners, connect to the Reiki source. Feel that energy flowing down from above. Feel that strong connection in your tanden, in your hara, that center of gravity in your body. Let that Reiki flow strongly through you. And you might notice that these other people in the circle, more than just us 9, are also connecting in. Those who are joining whenever they're here, they are also connecting in. Linear time does not exist here. We are all healing for each other. Resting into an open-handed position, hands resting upwards comfortably on your lap, or in prayer position if you're more comfortable. Drawing Reiki energy down through the crown and radiating it out into this circle, into this sphere. Sending that energy out into this space. Letting that energy flow strongly. See this whole sphere of energy filling with Reiki healing light from you, from me, from all the others that are here in this space with us outside of time. Let the Reiki healing energy flow strongly into the sphere. Dedicating this healing for the highest good of all those who enter this space, this healing space outside of time. You can probably feel the space filling up, your hands tingling as the space becomes filled with so much Reiki healing. that healing flowing. Filling this space with healing energy. The sphere is now filled with this Reiki healing light for the highest good of everyone who has entered this space, everyone who will enter this space. So bringing yourself a little back into your center, no longer actively channeling Reiki. Now allow yourself to absorb that healing energy for yourself. To be now in receiving mode. You might want to physically reach out and pull that energy in, placing your hands on your heart or on your belly. You may want to just breathe it into yourself. Let the energy go to where it's needed for your highest good. Absorbing it into the core of your being, absorbing it into your body, your energy body, your heart, your soul. When your body feels nicely filled with that received healing energy from everyone in our ever-expanding group, take a moment to ground yourself back in your body. See an energy seal form over your body. You may want to press on your shoulders or your face, or press your hands together. Allow any excess energy to drain out from your hands, from your body into the ground. Let yourself feel grounded. And allow that circle, that sphere, to fade away from your visualization. Knowing that it exists outside of time and is held for you if you ever want to go back and do this energy work again. If you return to it again, I only ask that you also give healing in that space again, as well as receive for your healing circle. Feeling yourself now grounded in your body, in your physical space. Feeling yourself back in your body. That circle still exists outside of time, but now it's just a Zoom room. Ah, that felt really lovely, guys. For me, anyway. um, Leanne has had to leave to go and tend to her own students who will be starting with her shortly. But has dropped us a little message to say that she felt that healing really strongly. I hope it was really strong for you guys as well. Welcome any sharings if anybody would like to share, but just to say that is something you can revisit. But please put energy in again if you're going to go back in rather than just receive. Anyone would like to share? You've unmuted yourself, Liz. Is this your desire to speak? It is. Hello, darling.
Well, it was lovely, and I was wondering, because I run a spirituality group, which isn't a Reiki group, but it is quite an intense little group where people sort of share their spiritual journey, and it does contain 15 minutes of silence. And I was just wondering advice about, could I just do something like that if I sort of tell people that that's what I'm doing, because they're not Reiki people, but I don't see why I couldn't actually just do that for them in the group, and just they can imagine it. They don't have. Is that a thing? Do you do that with other?
Absolutely, and it's one of the ways that I advise people. If you want to kind of get a little bit of collective participation, and you are maybe letting people know about a healing circle that you're going to start, or that you're going to be offering some healing sessions soon, and it's that they're going to be receiving it. If I'm working with non-Reiki people, I'm sending Reiki, like that's my intention, and that's what you'd be doing. But I ask them to visualize it as healing light, and to share healing light, and talk them through some kind of connection. Obviously, they won't be working with that specific Reiki source. But if they're a spirituality group and that sort of thing, they'll have probably some kind of source, or you can see it coming down from above, and your intention is that it's a healing source energy that they see as white light or gold light, whatever you prefer. Give them specifics in what they're visualizing. Give them a color, give them a way that they're taking it into the body, give them a way that they're radiating it out of the body. It might be that they're breathing that in and then breathing it out into the group, or that they're filling their body and radiating it out like we are. But give them those specifics, because they're not Reiki people, so they'll need something to hold onto, not in a patronizing way, but so that you can make sure that everybody's doing what you want them to be doing. And you can also, it doesn't have to be drawn from above. You might get them to draw energy up from the earth and get them to do it that way. Or you might, there's all kinds of things you could do, really. You could put a Reiki bubble in the center of it and fill it up and ask them to feel into that, and then add their own sort of healing light from source or from the earth or whatever. And add to it that way. So then it's a mix of Reiki and other spiritual energy work. But yeah, absolutely, that works. And make sure it's definitely essential that you set up a healing circle of some kind, as I did there. And I've sort of, as I said, when I set up the Reiki Skills Lodge, I set up there's protection around it already. It sort of exists as an entity almost, that I've been running for over a year now, so it's easy for me to call that in. I've put the time in before. That means that when I say it's there, and it's really easy for people to see it and connect in with it. So do something for yourself to set it up so you can see it really clearly by the time you come in to do that group work. But also then I think it's helpful to include the healing circle, the safe space, the containment, in the visualization for everybody else. You don't need to do it, but I think it's more powerful that way. It's just my preference, really.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome. I hope you do that. Let me know how it goes.
I will.
I'm
Thank you.
sure they'll love it. You're very welcome. Any other questions or sharings, either on this or on anything else that we've discussed? I wanted to go straight into the healing so that Leanne could receive it in the moment while she was here before she had to go. But any questions on anything we've discussed or any sharings for the healing? I'm sure I saw somebody send me a little message. I did. Here's my chat box. There it is. It was a very moving experience. Thank you. Thank you, my lovely. Yeah, it can feel a little bit emotional. That's something to, you know, not that we want to like oversell it before people start doing it, but people can feel quite moved by these experiences, especially if they're not used to doing this kind of group work. So it's worth making some time afterwards to allow people to share if they want to. Again, part of the safety is to say you don't have to share if you don't want to. But yeah, to allow people to kind of have a little bit of time to kind of sit with how strong it was for them, or something that might have come up. Sometimes people see colors, just like when you do Reiki treatments for people, they might see colors, they might feel temperature shifts, they might just feel a bit of an emotional release. It can happen. Thank you, Sarah. I felt it. It was powerful. I'm glad you felt it. Yeah, I hope that was healing for people. And thank you for putting the energy in. And I felt aware of quite a large number of people in the circle. I don't know about you guys. I thought there were significantly more people there than are here in this moment. And I know that a lot of people have signed up, but there were more people than that in there as well, which means we were operating outside of linear time, because not all of those people have signed up for this link yet. And I just find that quite sweet. And the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to do some healing for you guys to just lie in and receive, if you like, so you can have maximum healing for tonight. It is the full moon. It's a good time to be receiving big healing. And even if people on the recording are listening to this after the full moon, it's got that good full moon mojo in it, because that's when I've done it. And this is work that you guys can receive healing without doing work this time around. It's nice to just be in receiving mode sometimes. And this is going to be a little Reiki drum healing. So if there's any questions or sharings or anything you would like to say before we begin, speak now or forever hold your peace. For the Reiki drum healings, I'm just radiating Reiki healing energy through the drum and the drumming. I do feel like it, I always say the drum helps the Reiki go deeper into the body, but it also does lovely things that have been proved by science now, where it changes our brainwave activity and allows us to be more open to visionary experience, and allows us to sort of get into that meditative state more quickly. We also know that this type of drumming rhythm, even without Reiki healing included in the mix, which of course today it is, this energy, sorry, not the healing energy, just the drumming rhythm itself, it allows us to produce more natural opioids in the body. It allows us to produce more natural killer cells and boosts our immune system and all kinds of really interesting chemical stuff, which is why I think it must be such a primal need for us to you know, even toddlers bang their rhythms on things. Like we respond to drumming, all of us. It's natural, it's within us, it's primal, I think. So there's a lot of physical stuff that happens in the body, not in an overwhelming way, but things that have been proven. And if you are, I know there are a number of Reiki drummers that have signed up for this workshop, doing this kind of healing energy for people. the studies are already starting to show that drumming for people with autism, with ADHD, people with Parkinson's, people with dementia, people with Alzheimer's, there are these moments of calm and some lucidity that can come. It's not long lasting, but it's some relief that can be gained just from being in the presence of a drum, let alone when you add your Reiki goodness. So just a little note there for the Reiki drummers who want to do this. I do this at my shares sometimes, just switching mics for the drum. I do this at my Reiki shares sometimes, ready to lie down, wrap themselves in a blanket and receive their Reiki drum healing. And I'll do a little bit of voice work as well. So for you guys, make yourself comfortable. Closing your eyes. No more work for you guys to do. Just have your headphones or your speakers. Allow yourself to receive your healing energy for our final exercise of the workshop. Allowing yourself to relax, be receptive. I know you're in your safe spaces in your own homes or healing spaces or out in nature. So beautiful to see that some of you are out in nature today, receiving this healing. Know that as well as being held by that, you are held in the safe space that I have set up and created for you. You are safe to relax into this space. You are held. And this healing is for your highest good. As the Reiki flows, allow it to flow into you and give you everything that you need for your highest good in this moment. Absorbing that healing Reiki energy into your body. Let yourself receive that Reiki source energy healing for your highest good. Taking a moment to be in gratitude for this amazing source connection that we all share. Knowing that as well as giving as healers, you are able to receive that healing energy into your body. Visualize a strong cloak or shield of light forming around your whole body, sealing in that energy healing and grounding you into your energy body. Allow any excess energy to just drain away and begin to breathe yourself back into your body, into the physical space that you are in at this time. Breathe yourself back, feel yourself on your chair, your bed, on the ground. Deep breaths and small movements before sitting up and coming back to normal awareness. Wakey, wakey, my dears. Jenny, I'm so loving wherever you are as you're having this healing. That's such a beautiful view you're giving us. I hope everyone's back in their bodies, in their normal, regular walking around, talking to humans' bodies. Like all healings, my friends, drink lots of water after this one. Make sure you eat and ground if you need to. If anything comes up that needs to be released, you're all Reiki master people. You know what you're doing. You're all in the flow already. So anything that needs to come through and be released, just let it go. And just take really precious care of yourselves in the aftermath of this healing. I hope you've had a lovely evening. It's been really nice to see you guys who are here. And thank you to everyone who is watching this after the event. I hope you've had a lovely time as well. I'm gonna switch off the recording in a second, but is there any sharing or questions that people would like to share with the group that they would like to be on the recording before I close it off? No. In which case, lots of lovely messages coming in. Thank you, everybody. Oh, and one complimenting me on my outfit. Thank you. I'm glad these ludicrous shoulders aren't considered to be too much in this crowd. I like a statement jumper. Thank you for noticing, Lynn. This has been really lovely, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I am going to close this down now and close off the recording, but I am going to stay on for a minute afterwards in case anyone has any questions that they didn't want to share on the recording. So thank you all, everybody, for coming to the live and for coming to the recording. Give me a shout if you have any questions afterwards. Lots of love.